Well, today we're going to try to do a follow-up of the first DVD where we're prepared to drive our horse. Mackie's going to help us again today, hopefully. He hasn't done this in a year or so. So what I want to show you first is the important pieces to have in place so that you can speak to your horse from behind the hip. The first thing is a quick review of what we did on the other DVD, in case you're not watching it just before this, as you should be. So, the first thing we want to make sure we can do is push our horse down the fence by pushing his eye and driving his hip. So he should go down the fence like that and push his eye in both directions. I'm not going to do it because it was on the other DVD and you all know about it. Stop my horse. The next thing that you have to have in place on both sides is the follow the field exercise. Our desire is to get lateral flexion first, but the big part about this is the following the field and the desensitizing your horse to the rope around his legs, because that's where it's going to be often when you're driving. So I want to push his eye gently. Well, should not look like that. Mackie. Let's try that again. If you need a review, you can just go back to the other DVD. So I want to make sure that this rope isn't bothering him, which good thing it isn't. So when I get a lateral flexion, that's what I'm looking for, is lateral flexion. Push his eye a little bit, thank you. Rub him to a stop. I don't want him to go. I just want him to bend. Good boy. Good boy. There. Now I want him to follow the field, and when I ask him to move, I want to push that hip quite a bit on both sides. I'm going to review him on both sides because it's been so long. He appears to not be very sharp with this. So, desensitize, ask him to follow the field just for a lateral flexion, little tug, there, good boy, there, good boy, good boy. Now kiss, and I want to push that hind quarter around quite a bit, because I'm going to be driving that when I ask for a leg yield. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put myself in the leading position, which would be right here. I stay in front of the drive line, not behind it, because I'm leading. And the reason I want to review this is I want to make sure that my turns are good. I turn my shoulder, and I'm going to raise my hand like a stop sign, even though he went, because when I get behind the drive line, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to look, turn my shoulders, raise my hand, and focus. So he understands. I want to do that on both sides, so I'm going to turn him around. I'm going to step his shoulders over, send him this way, get into the leading position. I'm going to make sure he understands that when I look, turn my shoulders, I can push the eye. That's good, Mackie. So once I have those things in place, I'm going to send my horse in the normal sending position. So, he needs to be at 12 o'clock. I'm sending to the right. I stand on the right, shifts his weight back. I wait for that hip to round, step him over, send him. So I offer this, I drive behind the drive line. I offer, drive. So now I'm going to try to get a little further back and still be able to drive behind the hip. The most important thing is to be able to go straight. So I'm going to ask him to go straight by going straight and push his eye. I raise my hand and push his eye. I should be able to push his eye all the way around. That would be your goal. Now I can go straight. Or I can put him back on the bend. Step behind and begin driving with one rein. And at any time I can straighten him out by pushing the eye. Ooh, good boy. I want that on both sides. The next thing we want to be able to do is leg yield with one rein. So I'm kind of getting into the buggy, going straight. I'm going to, what I call, turn the key, which would be put my hand like this, lift. Because that's the way I'm going to eventually do it in the saddle. And I should get a leg yield. So I'm going to have to take them up on the long side. There we go, Maggie. And I'll try to get it in the view of the camera so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm saying over, 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 over. And that's probably, you're going to have to probably do that when you first try this. So it should get better this time around. So I'm going over, 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 over. And it doesn't have to be much. The next thing I'm going to have to do is to be able to do what I call an inside turn, which means to kind of push his butt by kind of pointing to it. So this is how I'm going to turn him. Then I'm going to ask him to go straight. Then I'm going to kind of point to his butt and ask him to turn. Then I'm going to ask him to go straight. So that would be a little exercise for you. Whoa. Good boy. We can stop now and we'll get some rings. Okay. What I've done, I've tied the stirrups together. And they should be tight enough that there's a little room, but it will not flop. You don't want to, really tight, but it needs to be snug. They should not be able to flop. And the purpose of that, you will see if your horse decides to get upset. So just make sure you don't do this without, because your horse could end up flopping these way in the air and you could get into a big wreck. So tie them up. So the next thing I'm going to do is install my reins. Do not use floppy reins. Only use heavy yacht braid like this. If this gets around your horse's foot, it'll work itself out. If you use regular light lines and you get into trouble and you have to drop a line or your horse gets a foot over it or something like that, you could really be in a disaster situation. Now, I don't know what's going to happen here because he hasn't been driven in a halter in a couple of years, but we'll see. He's been well prepared. So, and there's a horse galloping over there. So you never know what's going to go on. So I always prepare my reins, tie them up like that, just in case he were to spook or take off. I'll be doing the other rein. It's the same exact way. That's a good boy, Mackie. Good boy. There we go. And I'm not going to assume anything, even though, well, particularly with him, but any horse, no matter how quiet they are. Now I want to make sure that this has been adjusted appropriately. Not too tight, not too loose, but I want it up a little bit on his nose. So try to get a halter that fits. I'll take this off. You can tie that up if you want, but I just didn't take it off. And when I bring my reins down, I'm going to do them in such a way, even though I'm pretty sure he's going to be good with this, I want to rub my way down. So I'm on one side of the horse. Next thing I'm going to do is get these out of my way in case he decides to bolt off or something. So I want them out behind me. Now I'm going to switch eyes right now because that's what the horse needs. I want to keep these over his hocks. So here's why we practiced an inside turn. I want to be able to lay this on his butt and turn him. Now I'm going to switch eyes, and I make sure I am always in one eye or the other. So I'm either in a left bend, I'm going to do an inside turn, I'm going to switch eyes, I'm going to do another inside turn. So now, whoops, see I got behind him. You got to try to stay in one eye or the other. Now I'm going to try to leg yield him. I'm going to bring him in, little outside rein, and I'm going to ask him over. Just a little bit, and then I'm going to go forward. Now forward, if I want forward, my hand will be low, come out and say, get up. Switch eyes. Now if I want to push the eye because he's not responding, I'm going to raise my hand, push the eye. The only difference from the first DVD is I'll push the eye, but I won't toss the rope. Push the eye. See how he understands that? I'm trying to stay in the buggy, which means get behind him, but still stay in one eye. So we need inside turns. We need to do an inside turn in the opposite direction, push the eye, pull the hip, so we can turn, change eyes. We want to leg yield both sides. So I'm going to ask him to leg yield over, close my outside rein, turn my key, ask him to go forward. I'm going to do it in the other direction. Take him across the middle. I'm going to switch eyes. And then when I go away from you, I'll leg yield him over. Little outside rein. Stay in this eye. Stay in this eye. Stay in this eye. Good boy. Drive him forward. Ask him to stop. Left, right, left. Whoa. That was kind of lousy because I'm not really in the buggy. So I'm going to try to do it coming at you. So I'm going to turn him around. Go right up to the gate. A tight inside turn. I'm going to come across say, ooh. Back up, left, right, left, right. Ooh. Okay. If I'm in a position where I can just drop my rein, I'm going to drop my outside rein. I'm going to come up to my horse. So whenever I get in trouble, I will drop one rein, whichever would be easiest to get him to bend and face me. Because if you hang on to one rein, this is what you're going to get. Your horse is going to come and look at you. And that's the thing to do. Don't panic. Just allow it to work itself out. Drop one rein, hold on to the other until things get really good. So now I'm just going to undo him, and I'll end up with one rein on the other side. When you undo them exactly the same way you did them up. What you want to keep in mind that you don't want them tangled in these ropes. So, good boy. All right, that should do it. A little buggy out here, he's telling me. Don't forget to untie your stirrups. What I do is I tie my ropes with my with the string that I use to tie my stirrups, and then I can't tie this up unless I take them off, because I did mount him one day with the stirrups tied. It wasn't a disaster, but I could see where it could have been. So what I suggest you do is get this good and drive. Just practice a couple of turns, go around a couple of barrels, figure eights, left and right, little leg heel here and there. And if you did that for 5 or 10 minutes before you rode, every day that you ride, you will be amazed at how quickly and soft your horse gets. Be very responsive. And you will develop very good hands, because if you're not, he won't go where you're asking. All right, thank you for your time.